Back out in our purebred Gelby Bull Show, December out here, one that could sure stand some more competition. High quality individual, brings a lot to the table in terms of pounds and performance, as you can see. Really good in terms of early testicular development. Bull that's very rugged in his kind. Sound out here on the move as well. For me, maybe like to just clean him up through that sheath just a notch. Maybe just clean him up a little bit in that chest floor area as well. High quality individual, automatic division winner. Congratulations to that exhibitor. Another single entry red Gelby bull out here in May that I think certainly brings some good to the table. One that could stand some more competition out here in this lineup. Bull that tremendous in terms of his overall muscularity. You can see that in his rear 1/3 there. Bull you got to appreciate for the substance of bone. One that when you get up on him and examine his feet, really good feet underneath this guy as well. Toes are all going the right direction, no curling there. Good in terms of testicular development, clean sheet, and I think gives you a nice look out here from the side view profile. We'll look forward to having him back in the champion lineup here in just a moment. Congratulations.
Over here on the Limousin side, I think a tremendous way to start off our day with a really high-quality heifer calf that wins this class rather handily, in my opinion. One from her shoulder back, I think she's right. In terms of her body shape, she's long and level out through her hip and plants down really soft and square in terms of her hock joint and her rear foot and pastern. Maybe in an ideal world, we just relax that one and the set to her knee just ever so slightly. But man, you want to talk about one that just paints a really nice silhouette that's fresh and youthful in terms of her condition. I think the young lady brings us out a really nice, high-quality class winner. The one that comes out here in second, moderate, big-bodied, I think functional in terms of her build and structure. Cattle that in relation to an impressive class winner, we'd like to see her pull herself together with just a shot more look and balance, like to knock that tail head down in between her pins, just a shot more smoother, but nice, moderate, functional kind of cattle to be second. One coming out in third, we really like the figures, the EPD profile that she presents to us, and that's a big-muscled, wide-backed, big-ended kind of cattle that just needs to come with better look, lines, and balance in relation to her contemporaries.
Back over on our purebred Gelby show out here, bull show. It's another single entry, another bull that certainly brings a lot to the table. You just start analyzing this guy from the ground up, get up on him and look at the foot underneath this one. I think of that term, has a foot like a Clydesdale. Great big foot underneath this guy. Love the flexibility that you see in him as you ask him to get out and go. Excellent in terms of just that softness and cushion to his pasterns as he goes. He's a big bone, rugged kind of a bull, one that you can just imagine would transmit pounds to a calf crop, and in today's day and age, that equals profit out here. So high quality individual, one that was a lot of fun to look at. We'll look forward to having him back in our champion drive in just a moment. Congratulations.
And catching up over in your Gelby show First place in Class 19 and Automatic Division Champion goes to entry number 21, Against the Wind, exhibited by Paris Cattle Farms of Canton, North Carolina. And first place in Class 21 and also Automatic Division 9 champion goes to entry number 22, Mr. Money Maker, exhibited by Abigail Swobe of Wadidot, Oklahoma. And first place in Class 23 and Automatic Division 10 winner goes to entry number 23, Samaro 213K65, exhibited by Green Hills Gelby, Mount Ola, North Carolina. Congratulations. Now in the ring is the selection of your grand champion Gelby Bull here at the 50th anniversary of the North American. Again, we will be selecting your grand champion Gelby Bull. And placings over in your Limousin female show are as followed. First place goes entry number 5. EWSC Cardi B102L, exhibited by Macy Beckham of Jerseyville, Illinois. And second place in Class 1 goes entry number 3, PFL Lucy Goosey, exhibited by Sadie Lee Portwood of Versailles, Kentucky. And third place goes entry number 8, Janet E.T., exhibited by Leadin Limousine of Janesville, Wisconsin. Please note entry number 4 was a scratch. And now in the ring in your Limousin show is Class 2 Limousin heifers. These heifers' date of birth range from April 26th through April 1st of 2023.
Over in the Gelby ring, this will be our champion purebred bull lineup out here. Tremendous set of bulls that have been out here in front of us this evening. Set of bulls that when you get to comparing them to the females that we just judged, I think really equal in terms of quality, pretty impressive throughout this lineup. And that starts with this calf that comes out of the first division, one that gives you a nice silhouette and outline out here from my angle. Super long-sided, like I said earlier, very level hip, like the muscle shape and expression you see in this guy, the base width when you get around behind him. He's clean sheath. He's excellent in terms of testicular development. And for me, and you've heard me talk this through the females and now into the bulls, one that's built for the long haul terms of structure. He's a March bull calf, and as you can see, there's some serious pounds coming through in this guy. Love the early performance that we see in him. He's a contender, I think, out here in this lineup. Then we get back to the bull out of the second division. I'll talk about him just briefly. Very rugged in his kind, very useful in his kind. Bull, when you compare him to the two on either side, maybe just like to clean him up through that sheath area a little bit, maybe tidy him up through that front 1/3 to get him up contending with those bulls. The red bull out of the third slot out here, another one very useful in his kind. I commented on the feet that are underneath this guy. Great big foot, tremendous amount of heel back there as well. Bull that's adequate in terms of his structure when you ask him to get out and go. He too's clean sheath, very good in terms of testicular development, like the ruggedness and the muscle that we see in him. Bull that, as you analyze him up through that front 1/3, maybe like to just pull that neck up out of his shoulder just a notch higher, to show him off just a little bit better. But another one that's sure worthy to talk about out here within this lineup. Then we have the bull that was just out here in front of us by himself a minute ago, I believe, in January, and I talked about him. Love the feet and legs that we see underneath this guy. For a big guy, super athletic when you ask him to get out and go. Love the structure underneath this bull. Bull that, too, he's got some performance. He's got some doability to him, but he's one that still in a relatively fresh package. It's nice to look at out here. It's a bull that you can see him out of his hip there, really long and level from hooks to pins, like the length of side that we see in him. He's another one that, for me, runs a hard race out here within this lineup. That being said, I'd like to congratulate our exhibitors within this purebred show, and I'll go out and show you the two that I like the best out here this evening. Congratulations on a nice lineup of bulls.
And your grand champion, Gelby Bull, goes to entry number 23. Camaro 213K65, exhibited by Green Hills Gelby of Mount Ola, North Carolina.
Over here on the Limousin side, I think a really good balanced trait kind of animal to go ahead and lead the class off. One that's tremendous in terms of her look, her lines, and her balance. She just fits together so symmetrical with a great deal of presence. I think that one's running gear is really good. She's right in terms of her body shape and just ultra youthful and elegant looking out here among her contemporaries. Really nice, solid place to start here. The battle in the class for me came between 2 and 3, and it just came down to structure and build. The heifer in second is quite a bit more comfortable out of her hock joint, quite a bit more relaxed in terms of her front end structure, and as a result, she just gets out and goes with quite a bit more athleticism. That's a big-bodied, big outline cattle, and her EPDs certainly reflect it. One that, in relation to an impressive class winner, we'd just like to power up in terms of her forerib, set her down in terms of her tail head, and just see her spine and top line come together with just a shot more strength on the profile. If it's all about being big, stout, and burly, this heifer in third it certainly presents a tremendous amount of value. Really bold and opened up high, tremendous amount of strength out there through her pin set. It's when that one gets out and goes on the move that I'd like to change her in terms of her skeleton and her running gear. She needs relaxed in terms of the angle to her shoulder. I'd like to see her handle her hock joint with quite a bit more athleticism. Female to round out the class that can give you a really cool look from the side. Extra elegant, extra smooth in terms of how she's put together. And that one's got some genuine shape when you study her down the top side of her skeleton in relation to those cattle just ahead of her. I'd like to give her just a shot more performance and just strength and levelness out through her hip and pin set.
And your reserve grand champion, Gelby Bull, goes to entry at number 20. Butler's Mr. 13L, exhibited by Butler Creek Farms of Milton, Tennessee. Congratulations. We will take a short picture break over on your Gelby side, and then we'll be moving on to your balancer females here at the North American.
Just a single entry over here on our Limousin side, but one that's certainly deserving of winning her class here on the green chips. Really nice outlined, good structured kind of cattle with some added length of spine. In an ideal world, we'd like to just stouten her up in terms of her feature, see her come with just a shot more look up through her front 1/3, but I think a really nice kind of cattle to come out here and represent this class in our division drive.
And placings over in your Limousin female show for Class 2 are as followed. First place goes entry number 12, REIB Miss Queen at 369, exhibited by Parker Chestnut of Bath, Indiana. And second place in that class goes entry number 10, SKSW Miss Laney 2323, exhibited by Slate Wind Farm of Mercerburg, Pennsylvania. And third place goes entry number 15, RCC Lullaby 301L, exhibited by Jackson Kidd of Sandy Hook, Kentucky. Fourth place goes entry number 14, Wilson's Lemon Lime 193, exhibited by Samantha Pico of Ewing, Kentucky. Please note, entry number 11 was a scratch. And first place in Class 3 goes to entry number 17, West SRAJ Laura 343L, exhibited by Sarah Ann Johnson of Zanesville, Ohio. Congratulations to those exhibitors. Now entering the ring will be the selection of your Division I Limousin female. We will be selecting Division I Limousin female.
What a tremendous division to start our Limousin show off with this evening, and it certainly came in strong with the first heifer calf. One we talked about in class from her shoulder back being right in terms of her body shape. Really like how long and level that one is out through her hip. I think she's soft and square in terms of how she plants down her hock joint, her pastern, and her rear foot. In class, we talked in a perfect world, we'd like to just relax that one in terms of her shoulder blade and set her back in terms of her knee, but certainly one we need to talk about, and that's worth noting within this lineup. The one out of Class 2 hit me really hard within her class. One that in terms of balance, in terms of look and presence is certainly an outlier. We talked about that one in class just being so elegant in terms of how she's sculpted up front. From there back, she's right. In terms of her body shape, I think she's plenty athletic and functional in terms of her basic build and structure. A really solid, balanced, good-looking kind of female to represent that class. Young ladies out of the third class might not quite come with that extreme look and balance of the two right ahead of her, but we need to talk about her because she's a really functionally good kind of female that's great in terms of her build and structure. She offers some added length of body in relation to the two just ahead of her. I think a really good, solid kind of cattle to come out and represent that class. That being said, the young man's out of the second class will be our division champion. The young ladies out of first will be reserve.
And your Division I Limousin female goes to entry number 12, REIB Miss Queen at 3'6". 9, exhibited by Parker Chestnut of Bath, Indiana. And your reserve division champion goes to entry number 5, EWSC Cardi B, exhibited by Macy Beckham of Jerseyville, Illinois. Congratulations. Now in the ring is Class 4 of your Limousin female show. These heifers' date of birth range from February 18th through February 5th of 2023. I would like to take this time to introduce your judge here for your Limousin show, Mr. Breck Damon of Pennsylvania. Breck attended college at Blackhawk East and Western Illinois University, where he was a judging team member at both institutions. In the spring of 2018, Breck made the move to South Georgia to manage Insfall Farm, a 200-cow Hereford ranch that heavily emphasizes cow function and eye appeal while working on to capture carcass premiums. If you could, join me in giving Mr. Breck Durham a big round of applause for being here with us today. Don't forget, this year we are having our first open Supreme Cattle Drive on Thursday, November 16th in Freedom Hall. All grand champions of the open shows are welcome to come. That show starts 30 minutes after the last show on Thursday. Again, we will be having an open Supreme Cattle Drive on Thursday in Freedom Hall. We do invite everyone to come. Also, we would like to thank our official photographer of this year's 50th anniversary of the North American, Lindy's Livestock Photography. If you want to look at pictures of this week, all you have to do is go to lindsay'slivestockphotos.com to find all photos of here in Broadbent and Freedom Hall. Again, we do appreciate our official photographer of this week's show, Lindy's Livestock Photography.
What a tremendous initial trio to start this class off, and cattle that have tremendous strengths to each in their own. And in my opinion, this one that's going to win the class, her silhouette is just so hard to beat. That one's natural head carriage and neck extension is unmatched and unparalleled out here. She still has the body and performance to back it up. She's fresh, she's youthful, one that's tremendous in terms of her running gear, her softness of her angles, just so right, and everything just fits in proportions so nicely and so perfectly with that animal. The one in second probably comes with a shot more horsepower. I think she's more opened up in terms of her forerib, presents some more strength there out through her pin set. And I like that one's moderation and body shape. I think a tremendously good kind of female that's good in terms of her hip and her hind leg. She just comes off a shot coarser in terms of her outline and initial presence in relation to that one that wins the class. The heifer in third, young lady, keep your head up because this one could win a lot of classes. This one's really good, fundamentally solid kind of cattle that's moderate, big-bodied, great in terms of her basic structure and running gear. She's not quite as aggressive in terms of her shape as the heifer in second. She's not quite a lead in terms of her look and her outline as the heifer that wins the class. Young lady's female coming out next certainly sets a standard out here in terms of performance and depth of body. I think she's functional in terms of her build and her structure. With that added elevation, though, we need to open her up in terms of her body shape, see her come with just a shot more genuine strength and dimension. Red female that's coming out next, moderate, square in terms of her build. She's a good-footed kind of cattle. That's a shot coarser in terms of her lines in relation to the rest of those. The shorter-hipped, rounder-hipped female is just a shot shallower in terms of her body shape in relation to those cattle just ahead of her. Young man brings out a really nice, long-bodied, fundamentally good kind of cattle to round out the class. She just doesn't come with the elite kind of style, look, and balance as those cattle right ahead of her.
And placings in class number 4 over in your Limousin show are as follows. First place goes to entry number 22, SSUL Charmin Forever 3237, exhibited by Reed Utterback of Elwood, Indiana. And second place in that class goes to entry number 19, TSSL Neil S.A. Kendall JET, exhibited by Hogan Henderson of Farmland, Indiana. Third place goes entry number 24, SSUL Charm 3330, exhibited by Gemma A. Dorsey of Morrow, Illinois. And fourth place goes entry number 20, PRF RNK Laney, exhibited by Samantha Pico of Ewing, Kentucky. And fifth place goes entry number 25, Legacy's Lily, exhibited by Jocelyn Rubert of Witt, Illinois. And sixth place goes entry number 57, WIWE Lucky Charmed 2305, exhibited by Ryan Allen of Quincy, Illinois. And please note, entry number 23 was a scratch. Now in the ring, over in your Limousin show, is Class 5. These heifers' date of birth range from January 31st through January 2nd of 2023. We are ready for that Class 1 junior heifer calves over in your balancer show. We are ready for that Class 1. These heifers' date of birth range from February 3rd to January 12th of 2023. Again, that first class of Gelvies could be making their way into the ring.
Over in our Gelvy ring, this will be a nice way to start off our balancer female show out here. Single entry and automatic division winner February. One that could sure stand some more competition, as you can see out here. Female that's extremely big middled here as you view her from the side. Very broody, very rugged in her appearance. Love the substance of bone that we see under her as well. Heifer for this stage of the game, if you're going to get real nitpicky, maybe like to green her up just a notch, just a freckle in her overall conditioning out here. But a female, as I said, could sure stand some more competition. One that we'll sure like looking at later in the champion drive. Congratulations to this exhibitor.
And first place in Class 1 and automatic division champion goes to entry number 4, My MV Lovely 431L, exhibited by Haley Cornett of Hillsboro, Ohio. Congratulations. Please note entry number 5 was a scratch. Now entering the ring is Class 3 balancer females. These females' date of birth range from December 6th through November 21st of 2022.
The really, really good ones continue to roll through here in this next class over here on the Limousin side. And boy, I think the one that's going to win this class is extremely, extremely good. Everything matches and everything in proportions, and I think that it's so difficult to do that when they have this much bulk and mass. That's a big-footed, stout-featured cattle that's extra bold and opened up in terms of her body shape. One whose lines and symmetry just lay into her with an elite amount of style and presence. I think that she's adequate in terms of everything, and as a result, just a really good balanced kind of animal to go ahead and win this class. Congratulations to that young lady on a really high-quality one. I really like this heifer in second, and I think one that could win a lot of classes just from being good, fault-free kind of cattle. Her lines lay in her with some style, with some consistency on the go. I think she's good structured cattle. That's right in terms of her body shape, and just extremely youthful in terms of how she's put together. Just doesn't have quite the extremes in terms of bone work, in terms of mass and dimension of an impressive class winner. A young man brings us out one that I think has really good days in front of her in terms of making a heavy bred. That one outlines just beautifully in terms of how her front end sculpted, in terms of how relaxed she is in her shoulder blade and her lower body shape, and how she transitions from her forerib back to her flank. I think good cattle that's good structured just gets outpowered by those initial two. Similar story with the heifer in fourth. I think one that ideally comes with just a shot more rib, a shot more body, but that one in terms of her look, lines, and presence is extremely good. Bold-bodied, stout-hipped. Maybe like to see her get out and go out of her hip and hind leg with just a shot more coordination. If it's all about being big, stout, massive, and burly, I think this heifer that comes out next can go up a few ranks. That one's massive in terms of her feature, and out here on the stand, one that still pulls herself together with some look. I think she's extra bold and pulled apart in terms of her upper body shape, stout and square out through her hip. I just like to fix her from a skeletal standpoint. In an ideal world, we rock that one back in terms of her shoulder blade, set her back in her knee, and just relax her in terms of the angle to her hock joint. Another good, moderate kind of female coming out next that's got some rib and body. I think she's good in terms of her basic build and structure. She needs to come with a shot more look and balance in relation to the cattle just ahead of her. We'd like to just power her up when the cattle turn and leave you. A high-performing, long-bodied one comes out next. This one's good in terms of the slope and angle to her hind leg in relation to her contemporaries. She needs to come with more rib and body in relation to her added elevation. Moderate, really square-built one's going to round out the class, and this one's got some good to her in terms of just having some upper body shape, some substance and feature when you study her at her foundation in relation to the rest of those cattle. We need to soften her up in terms of her body shape, see her come just a shot more aggressive in terms of her performance out here today.
Back over in our Gelvy show, our balancer show out here, two really highly competitive fall females. We've got a November and a December. Elected to go with the female, a little more moderate out here, one that's kind of an outlier within this pair in terms of just style and balance and eye appeal. Female that's really, really neat neck, gives you an ultra feminine look out here from the side. Heifer that's sure acceptable in terms of overall soundness. Get around behind her. Still got some shape and some width to her as well. Would she give up a little performance to our second place female? That's maybe where you'd like to just power her up just a notch, but elected to go with the one for me that just a little more eye appealing, I think, within the pair. We get back here to this December female, and if you're looking for one with just a little bit more power, a little more weight per day of age, and this is probably your female. Love the top line that we see in this female, extra level. Female that's level also from hooks to pins out of her hip there as well. She's green in her overall conditioning, yet maintains some body shape. I like that about her. You know, maybe not quite as cool up through that front end as the heifer that gets her today, but an awfully nice kind of female that runs a hard race out here as well. Congratulations to both these exhibitors.
And placings for Class 3 over in your balancer show are as followed. First place goes entry number 8, GCRK 298K, exhibited by Molly Anderson of Marion, North Carolina. And second place in Class 3 goes to entry number 6, Velvet 864K, exhibited by Paris Cattle Farms of Canton, North Carolina. Congratulations. Now in the ring is Class 4 balancer females. These females' date of birth range from October 14th through September 1st of 2022. And placings in your Limousin show in Class 5. First place goes to entry at number 33, MKLSC Kitty at 366L, exhibited by Riley Green of Mayville, Michigan. And second place in that class goes entry number 28, CLAC London 183L, exhibited by Connor London of Sagamore, Pennsylvania. And third place in that class goes to entry number 32, PASF Lovely 726, exhibited by Thomas and Son Farms of Boonesboro, Maryland. Fourth place goes entry number 35, Legacy's Lexi E.T., exhibited by Claire Dorsey of Witt, Illinois. Fifth place goes to entry number 29, West SRAJ Loretta 342L, exhibited by Sarah Ann Johnson of Zanesville, Ohio. Sixth place goes entry number 31, exhibited by Lamb Stewart of Mechanicsburg, Illinois. Seventh place goes entry number 37, exhibited by Claire Dorsey of Witt, Illinois. And eighth place goes entry number 27, exhibited by Jesse Cosbate of Henderson, Kentucky. Congratulations to those exhibitors. Now we are selecting your Division II Limousin champion.
Over here on our Limousin side, I think two impressive class winners that certainly come out here and just embody the type and kind of cattle that we're out here searching for. We talked about that one out of the first class, just being so elite in terms of her silhouette, in terms of how her lines fit in her just so seamlessly, and being just youthful and attractive in terms of how she ties together up front. I think that one's fresh in terms of her body shape and great in terms of her running gear. That's a smooth jointed, really square built one that I think has a tremendous amount of future. If you were to get picky on her, I'd like to just open her up in terms of her forerib, see her come with a shot more genuine horsepower when you study the cattle coming right at you through her sternum. The cattle, the female out of the second class, just extremely burly, overwhelmingly massive in terms of her center body, really, really stout in terms of her feature. She's not quite as just seamless in terms of her spine as the one out of the first class, but I do think when you study the cattle in terms of genuine width of sternum and how bold and opened up they are in terms of her upper body shape, I do believe that she has the upper hand. She'll be our division champion out here today. The one out of the first class will be reserved.
And your Division II Limousin champion goes to entry number 33, MKLS SC Kitty 366L, exhibited by Riley Green of Mayville, Michigan. And your reserve division goes to entry number 22. Goes to entry number 22, SSUL Carmen Forever 3237, exhibited by Reed Utterback of Elwood, Indiana. Congratulations. Now entering the ring is Class 6. These heifers' date of birth range from December 20th through December 12th of 2022.
Out here in our balancer show, probably one of the more competitive classes we've had all day within the Gelvie show. Let's go ahead and bring this third heifer around. Let's see if these girls will line up real nice for us. Really close threesome up here, and I wouldn't argue with you if you wanted to rearrange these a little bit depending upon where your priorities lie. The first place female just fit me the best, just type and kind, soundness, freshness. Just kind of check the most boxes out here for me. Love the length of side in this young man's female. As I said, when you compare to the one directly behind her, maybe a notch fresher in her overall conditioning. Is she as muscular as the second place female? Maybe not. Get her out on the move, and I think that's where she excels over the heifer that we have in second. Just a little bit truer off those hind two. Notch more flex and cushion. This is a heifer, though, when she enters the ring, one you kind of want to gravitate towards in terms of her overall ring presence, her outline, her presentation, and the way this young man gets her shown out here to us. Just a nice place to start for first for me. Then we've got kind of the combination heifer out here coming in second. As I said, I mean, you got to like the substance of bone that you see in this one. The power out of that rear 1/3. very bold in through her fore rib area, carries that all the way back through that flank. Really nice. I think for me, though, you've heard me talk about it all through the show today, talk about structure. Like to see that one get out and go with just a little more authority off those hind two when we compare to the heifer that we have in first. This heifer in third is one that, another one you really want to gravitate towards. Love the presentation and the look you get with this female. Really elegant out here on the standstill. I like that about her. Pretty fresh in her overall conditioning. Long and level from hooks to pins. Love her hip as you view her here from the side. The length and extension up through that front end. Pretty good in terms of the way she gets out and walks. For me, the game changers when you get up on this heifer. Those hind 2 feet are wanting to curl in just a little bit. I think that's something that's going to have to be managed on her in terms of a cow on down the road. That's maybe where I'd like to change her. But as I said, those 3 females, if you're a breeder out here and you're looking at them, you pick them off your priorities. That's just the way I like them out here today. Then we get into this next pair of females that round out the class. I elected to go with the one that had just a notch more performance. Female that's got some rib shape and some dimension and some true width. Love the substance of bone underneath her. Like to see her get out and track a little truer. Gets outside the boundaries a little bit in terms of structure. For me, the heifer following her that rounds out the class, one that's pretty good in terms of her overall outline and kind out here, just gives up some substance of bone and some performance to the heifers that are above her in the class today. That's a nice class of fall females. Congratulations.
Over here on the Limousin side, I think a fairly easy class winner to find. When we talk about putting these cattle in production, I just think that this one embodies the right type and kind of beef cattle. Moderate, dense, big-bodied with a really soft hind leg that's really functional in terms of her build and structure. A really good, solid place to start on this class. In an ideal world, we relax that one in terms of her knee and just see her a shot more elegant in terms of how she comes out of her front end, but I think really good type and kind to win this class of Decembers. The structure and build sorts 2 and 3 for me out here today. The young lady's heifer that's going to be second is quite a bit more appropriate. And the slope to her shoulder and knee, she's softer and more agile in terms of how she uses her hock joint. And as a result, she'll maintain better symmetry in her spine when she gets out on the move. The young man's heifer that's going to round out the class, she certainly has the upper hand in terms of performance, in terms of length of body. I just need to change that one from a skeletal standpoint. I'd like to rock her back in her shoulder blade, see her hit her step from behind with just a shot more comfort.
And placings in class number 6 in your Limousin female show are as followed. First place goes to entry number 40, SJMR Princess Kate 250K, exhibited by Samantha Jo Moore of Staten, Virginia. Second place in that class goes to entry number 38, ELCX Cassie 17K, exhibited by Taylor Holloway of Fort White, Florida. And third place goes entry number 39, SJMR Kennedy 251K, exhibited by Scott Hickey of Staten, Virginia. Congratulations. Now entering the ring is Class 7 Limousin females. These females' date of birth range from September 28th through November 3rd of 2022.
Back over on the Balancer show, we've had a really nice fall division out here. As you can see, I believe is a November female that wins the first class within that division. You know, as I commented on, if you're out here looking for an animal, you know, that can add some style and some presence and some eye appeal, if you need something to clean one up a little bit, this might be the cow you want to take home, or the one you want to take home for a cow, I should say. Female that, too, I think is very acceptable in terms of her structure when you ask her to get out and go, like the length of side, the freshness in her conditioning. Maybe not quite the pop and the performance of those 2 older heifers directly behind her, but I think just a world of good, lot to offer in that heifer. Then we get to the one that just wins the tough last class. Young man does an excellent job out here getting this one stuck. Love the presentation and the look that you see with this female. Get past that, though. Love her outline and her silhouette as you view her from the side. She's one that's very maternal, very broody in her overall makeup, yet maintains, to me, some femininity. with that coupled brood cow look to her. That's really a nice fall female. And then we get back to that heifer that stood second to her that I talked about, a heifer out here on the standstill. Got to love the power traits that one possesses. The width in her pins, the way she carries that down into her lower stifle so well. Talked about her underline there, forerib all the way back to her flank. Really like that about that one that's pretty true right in behind those shoulders as well. As tough as that last class with, it's pretty hard for me not to stick with our class winner and our second. I'm going to go ahead and go with these two for champion and reserve. Congratulations to these exhibitors.
And your Division II Gelby female is entry in number 9. T-bar SMS 24 karat 1167K, exhibited by Avon Moon of Ensburg, Washington. And your reserve division goes into number 17, a T-bar SM Miss Abani 5028, exhibited by Hadley Ketchad of Cuba, Missouri. Congratulations.
Back out here in our Gelby Balancer show, a nice single entry automatic division winner. June female, one that comes to us fairly sound when you ask her to get out and go. Female, when you get up on her here, really good in terms of her feet and her foot shape. Female that too possesses some quality in terms of look from the side. One that's got a tremendous outline, like the femininity we see up through that front 1/3. One that's sure fresh in her overall conditioning as well. Female that has been managed beautifully. We'll look forward to having her back in the champion drive here in just a moment. Congratulations.
And first place in Class 6 and automatic intermediate heifer champion in your balancer show goes to entry number 19, MS Rebel Yell 214K, exhibited by Braden Owen of Princeton, Kentucky. Congratulations. Now in the ring in your balancer female show is Class 8. These heifers' date of birth range from April 21st through March 6th of 2022.
Over here on the Limousin side, 3 cattle that rise to the top that offer quite a bit of differences and debate. I think the female that I'm going to land on, I do so because she's the most youthful in terms of her look. She's fresh in terms of her condition. When you study that one at the top side of her shoulder blade, she's just a shot more feminine in terms of how she brings her neck right out of her skeleton there. That's a moderate, huge-bodied one. That's a shot stouter in terms of her feature. She's a shot more refined in terms of her skull shape in relation to the one right behind her. I really like this heifer in second. I think a good, complete, fault-free kind of cattle that's good in terms of her build and structure. I think she's right in her body shape and long and level out through her hip. She's just a shot coarser there in terms of the shape to her skull, a shot more opened up in terms of her shoulder blade, but really good kind of cattle to come out and be second in this class. The performance outlier comes in third, and she displays it on paper when you study her in terms of her performance indicators. That's a big-bodied, extra high-performing kind of cattle that still ties it together neat, nice in terms of her silhouette. With her added altitude and height, I'd like to open her up in terms of her skeletal width and see her come with a shot more genuine turn to her upper body shape and a shot more genuine squareness and build when the cattle turn and leave you. Really nice, moderate, stout-featured kind of cattle comes out next. One that's just a shot coarser in terms of her build, just comes off a shot rounder in terms of her lines and design out here today. Young man coming out next, really long-bodied, high-performing kind of cattle that we need to change in terms of her front-end structure in order to allow her to just come out here and have a shot more presence and look when the cattle get out on the go, one that we'd like to just soften up in terms of her body shape. Young man's that's going to round out the class, big-bodied, really feminine when you study her in terms of how she's put together in her head and neck. That one's just a shot tighter in terms of her spine. We need to just pull her apart there in terms of her forerib and see her set down with a shot more foot and foundation in relation to her contemporaries.
Back over in our balancer show, really nice set of females out here within this March-April class. Heifer that wins the class kind of brings the full court press in terms of quality and having all the bells and whistles out here for me. Heifer that when she comes into the ring and the minute those feet hit the ground, got to really admire for overall soundness that she possesses. Gets out, takes a nice long stride. Get out here and look at this one from the side. One that gives you a nice, beautiful outline, I think, out here. Very elegant up through that front 1/3 from her shoulders back. One you've really got to appreciate. She's level top, level from hooks to pins. Really deep through the center portion of that body, but yet does so in such a fresh and elegant package out here. Really like the underline and undercarriage that we see in that female as well. For one that is this age, you can tell she's already making a bag. Going to be nice uddered. Really like the teat placement that you see there as well. Get back here to this second place female. I think there's a world of good in this one as well. Get to really study in this one and looking at her, you got to really like the added femininity that you see up through that front 1/3. The power that she possesses when you get around behind her. She's got some width to those pins. It carries it down low. Really nice. Really fresh too in her overall in the way she's presented out here. Female that can get out and go fairly good. Heifer that maybe doesn't have quite that unique or elite look up through that front end or tie in quite as neat as our first place female, but one that runs a hard race out here, I think, within this class. I like our third place female a lot. I thought she was a strong contender for second. Another one that's very soft, very broody in her overall makeup. I think adequate in terms of her soundness. Maybe like to change up the way she kind of holds those front feet, wants to get them turned out just a notch. I think that goes with having just a shot more conditioning than I'd like to see out here. I think you green this one up a little bit between now and the next show, and she's one that can come up and run a race with that heifer that we've got in second today. Then we get to the young man's heifer that rounds out the class out here in fourth. Another one that possesses some true power as you get around behind her, some width down that top that you really have to appreciate. Maybe not quite as neat up through the front 1/3. Female that's not quite as deep through the center portion of her body or through that rear flank area as the heifers that are above her in the class today. Congratulations on a nice class of females.
Over here on the Limousin side, we have a high-performing, big outline kind of female to represent this class as a single entry, and she's certainly deserving of doing so. And this one's parked on the standstill. She's great in terms of her symmetry and balance. She's a big-bodied, soft, hind-legged one. In an ideal world, we need to relax that one in terms of the angle to her shoulder blade. I think as a result, that would help her just carry her spine with a shot more symmetry, with a shot more quality when we get her out here. But I think a nice, high-quality female to go ahead and represent this class.
And placings in your Limousin Class 7 are as followed. First place goes entry number 42, Delilah ELCX Kesha 192, exhibited by Delilah Labor of Hillsboro, Ohio. Second place goes entry number 45, GCC Queen 235, exhibited by John Crawford of Big Pool, Maryland. Third place goes entry number 46, CELL Elegant Style 2465, exhibited by Chesney Stigmont of Maxwell, Iowa. Fourth place goes entry number 43, MKJM ELCK Charmer 277K, exhibited by Michaela Jo Massey of London, Kentucky. Fifth place goes entry number 44, TSSBTOM Lucky Charms, exhibited by Rylan Vag of Lewisburg, West Virginia. Sixth place in that class goes entry number 41, PRF Kayla ET, exhibited by Jackson Kidd of Sandy Hook, Kentucky. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
Over in our balancer ring, we've got a single entry female February out here, one that just brings a lot to the table. Another one that you wouldn't be lying when you said this one could stand some more competition. This is one that'll make you sit up and pay attention, I think. Another one from the ground up. You evaluate her, you really got to like the foot size that you see and the shape in that foot when she comes in the ring. Heifer that's got some substance of bone as well. Heifer in terms of her structure, you look at that knee and the way it locks in. So nice and pretty, the way this female blends up through that front 1/3. Really nice for one that is this powerful. This is a female that you get up on her. She's bold sprung, she's wide based. She's a female that really exhibits some power traits out here, but yet does so in a ladylike way. Very deserving class winner. We'll look forward to having her back here in just a moment.
And first place in class number 8 of your balancer female show goes to entry number 23, Butler's Miss Kesha K549, exhibited by Braylon Schaefer of Hagerstown, Indiana. Second place goes to entry number 22, Julia 830F, exhibited by Molly Anderson of Marion, North Carolina. Third place in Class 8 goes to entry number 21, GFDNF Cardi, exhibited by Macy Newton of Seneca, South Carolina. Fourth place goes to entry number 20, Haley K010, exhibited by Braden Owen of Princeton, Kentucky. And first place in Class 9 goes to entry number 24, Butler's Miss Kayla 549K, exhibited by Butler Creek Farms of Milton, Tennessee. We'll now be selecting your champion junior heifer calf.
As we get out here in this bred heifer division of this balancer show, got a couple females out here in contention for champion and reserve that when I was on my way out to do this, I got to thinking, what's going to come in the ring today? And this is kind of what was in my imagination. I just know what this Gelbvieh breed can bring in terms of balancer females. And I think all three of the heifers really out here exemplify what the Gelbvieh breed can offer in a crossbreeding situation. The heifer that I talked about that wins the first class, that's there to my right, female that's truly elegant out here, one that too for me is really managed well in terms of her overall freshness. Commented earlier, love the soundness you see in her as she enters the ring. one that gets out and goes very freely out here on the move. Female that's long-sided as well, one that just in terms of outline and package out here, one you just want to gravitate towards. The heifer directly behind her that wins the last class, as you've heard me say throughout this show, if you're here looking at females or looking at bulls, be sure and pick what you like for your program. If you're looking for one that might have just a shot more power, in terms of width when you get around behind them, this might be your female right here. Extremely powerful one that's great big in terms of right in there through the center portion of her body. Another one that's really good in terms of her forerib and the way she blends that back through her flank. Really, really nice. I think there's some subtle differences in these females, and as I said, it boils down to personal preference and what you're picking to take home with you today. For me, the heifer to my right that wins the first class fits me today. She's going to be our champion in this division. We're going to come right back to the single entry female. She's going to be our reserve. Congratulations, though, to all three of these exhibitors out here.
Over on the Limousin side, I think a really high-quality female that needs to go ahead and come to the forefront of this class rather handily, in my opinion. You want to talk about one that's just so relaxed and good in terms of her angles. She's moderate, right, in terms of her body shape. You study that one in terms of genuine skeletal width, and she's really pulled apart there in her sternum, and that translates into her forerib and how bold she is up high. One with some genuine strength when you study her out through her hip and pin set. She's proportional when you take it to the ground in terms of being a big featured cattle that I think just gets out and goes so eloquently. Really high quality female to rise to the top end of this class. The next one coming out, if she's big enough for you, she's a darn good one, and she is big enough for me in terms of the kind of forages that I run on at home. This is kind of the size of what my September replacement heifers look right now. That one's moderate, dense, big-bodied, great in terms of her running gear. She doesn't quite have that elite kind of presence and look as that one just ahead of her in relation to that impressive class winner. I'd like to just open her up and lengthen her out in terms of her spine and her hip just ever so slightly. Genuine width, mass, and horsepower sort the next two, and it was a tough call for me, but the young ladies that's coming out next is a long-bodied, bold, opened-up one that I think is incredibly stout when you study her out through her hip. I think she's functional in terms of her build. However, I do think she could hit her step with just a shot more coordination in her hock joint. I'd like to see her come down just a hair squarer in her knee when you study her coming right at you. One coming out next sports a really nice set of EPDs, and that's a long-bodied one that's really fresh in terms of her condition, and you can study it through her head shape, through her neck set there, one that pulls herself together with a lead amount of presence. From there back, I'd just like to open her up in terms of her forerib, soften her up in terms of her flank, in terms of in relation to those cattle just ahead of her. Big, stout, and burly female comes out next. That's one's really opened up high, really stout and square out through her hip and pin set in relation to the cattle just ahead of her. Just needs to pull herself together with a shot more look and balance.
And over on your balancer side, I would like to take this time to reintroduce your judge for today, Mr. Travis Pembroke. Travis, along with his wife Beth and sons Brent and Bryson, own and operate Pembroke cattle in Fairview, Oklahoma, on land that has been owned and operated with the family for 5 generations. The Pembrokes primarily produce Angus and Red Angus cattle, along with raising mix of Key, Simmental, and Made genetics to help meet a growing demand for those heifers. Throughout the year, Travis and his family host a spring production sale at the ranch, along with also having numerous online sales. If you could please join me in giving Mr. Travis Pembroke one more round of applause for being out here with us on your Balancer Show.
Back out here in our Gelvie Balancer lineup, before I get into the cattle a little bit, just like to congratulate these exhibitors for bringing us such a fine set of cattle out here this evening. It's probably we get this late at night. These cattle get a little bit hard to work with. Exhibitors have done a great job out here getting these cattle exhibited and getting them shown and looking their very best, and just want to commend them on that. Want to commend them on the quality that we've had out here within this show as well. As I commented on earlier today when I started, the Gelvie breed is one that my wife and I were involved with for a number of years. And I can remember when the balancer thing first kind of fired up, and it seems like the Gelbvieh breed were one of the first ones to kind of go and embrace that and coin the term balancers. And it was just fun to watch that and be a part of it for a little while, and now see what that has progressed into out here in front of us this evening. Back into the cattle a little bit. Heifer that wins the first division. Tremendous amount of future, I think, in this one. Young lady does a great job getting her shown out here to us this evening. Female that just in terms of power, in terms of muscle expression, in terms of width down that top, it's a female that really brings it out here. I think there's a tremendous amount of future to this female. You know, I talked about her a little bit there in class. You're going to get picky. Maybe like to green her up just a notch, but on one that's built this way, I know that's easier said than done. That's an easy keeping kind of a female. And we get back to the one that is out of the second division, the fall division. That was kind of a tough class. Young man's female kind of excelled out there. One that's very elegant in the way she presents herself out here on the side view profile. Love her outline, love that maternal, broody kind of a look, really deep through the center portion of her body, yet has been maintained very fresh. Really appreciate that about that heifer. That's a female, if you're out here looking, you know, that's one that kind of gravitate to in terms of this lineup out here. Then we get back to the gentleman's female that wins the third division. Maybe not quite as powerful as some of the heifers on either side of her out here tonight, but a female, when you really study her outline and her look that she gives you, she's one that gives you a feminine kind of appearance up through that head and neck area. Heifer that, for being green out here, still has some depth through the center portion of that body. Got a big old stout square hip in her as well. Maybe just gives up a little performance to those on either side. Heifer that wins that last division, we've talked about her a lot. Heifer that, for me, just very elegant in her appearance out here. Very maternal in her overall makeup. What you see is what you get with her. Talked about earlier, you know, really appreciate the undercarriage that you see in her. The early signs of how her teat placement is going to be. Looks to be perfect tonight. Got to really appreciate that about her as well. Another contender is the heifer that was reserved to her in that division a moment ago. Got to admire the power that you see in this one, the boldness in terms of her forerib, the depth through the center portion of her body as well. Heifer that just does a lot of things right for me out here within this lineup this evening. That being said, I think I've got a pair in mind for me tonight, but again, just want to congratulate these balancer female exhibitors for bringing us such a nice set of females. Please join me in giving them a big round of applause.
And your grand champion balancer female here at the 50th anniversary of the North American goes to entry number 23, Butler's Miss Kesha K549, exhibited by Braylon Schaefer of Hagerstown, Indiana. Congratulations. And your reserve grand champion balancer female goes to entry number 24, Butler's Miss Kayla 549K, exhibited by Butler Creek Farms of Milton, Tennessee. Congratulations. And we are ready for Class 12 Spring Bulls, Balancer Bulls.
Over here on our Limousin side, we get into a really competitive, extremely high-quality fall-born division, and the female out of the first class just did so in terms, won her class just in terms of basic brood cow feature. I like that one's moderation and density. She's ultra bold and pulled apart in terms of her body shape. She sets down on a soft hind leg. Is she quite as just seamless in terms of her outline as some of these other cattle? No, but I think we certainly need to note her out here in terms of one that looks to be one that could certainly mature into an extra productive kind of mother cow for the young lady. Really tough class here in the second class of the division, and I like the way this one came back out here. Moderate, huge-bodied. I think she's great in terms of her structure. You study that one coming and going. She's so square and genuine in terms of her build. I like her in terms of her foot shape. I think that one's right in terms of her body shape. She's long and level out through her hip and just puts it all together in such a smooth package. An extremely high-quality animal to represent that class. We've got a single entry out here next, and one we talked about just being high-performing, big-bodied one that can certainly give you a nice look from the side. We just like to fix her in terms of her skeleton, see her come just a shot more relaxed in terms of her spine when she gets out on the go. The one out of the final class here, one that's certainly overwhelming in terms of the rest of the lineup, in terms of skeletal width, boldness, and mass. You study that one through her sternum. She's really opened up in terms of her chest width, and we just talked about how that relates to her added turn up high, one that's really bold and pulled apart in terms of her forerib. She's stout out through her hip. I think when that one gets out on the go, she's athletic from the side. I think she gets out and reaches with a tremendous amount of athleticism. In a perfect world, when we study that one going right away from you, she'll want to bow in at her hock joint and roll on the outside of her hoof wall just ever so slightly. I think we get down and we really get to thinking about complete cattle, fault-free cattle that certainly still pull everything together with an elite amount of look and balance. It's the young ladies out of the second class. She'll be our champion. We'll pull that second place back in for consideration. We pull that second place one back out here, and again, as we said, what a competitive class, and that's an extra good kind of female that's right in her body shape. I think she's good in terms of her structure. We talked about her in class in relation to that one that wins, just being a shot plainer in terms of the shape to the top side of her neck, a shot coarser in terms of her skull shape. There's one that really does it for me in terms of having some added power and mass out here. It'll be the female out of the last class, so be reserved.
Back over in our Gelvie Balancer show. This will be a nice start to our show. We've got a March single entry automatic division winner out here. Calf that as he enters the ring, you really have to admire for the structural integrity and the longevity you see in this guy. Great set of feet and legs. Love the hind leg set we see in him as well. It's a bull in terms of early growth. You really got to appreciate that about him as well. Brings a lot to the table in that regard. Calf that's up-headed, pretty fronted. One looks to pins, maybe like to just lengthen him out, just make his hip just a notch longer for me out here tonight. Maybe wants to get a tick rounder. Get past that, though. Really nice way to start off our Balancer Bull show.
And first place in class number 12 over in your Balancer Bull show goes entry number 29 at DNF Addict of Two Diamonds, exhibited by Caitlin Newton of Westmaster, South Carolina. That will also be your automatic Division 5 champion. Now in the ring is class 14 at Balancer Bulls.
Another nice single entry automatic class and division winner out here in our Balancer show. Bull that very rugged and useful in his overall makeup, one you've got to admire for the overall muscle expression that he exhibits out here. Bull that's very good in terms of testicular development as well. Maybe like to clean him up through that front end just a notch, give him a little more length of neck out here. But bull that's very deserving, one that could sure stand some more competition out here within this class and division. Congratulations.
And first place in class 14 and automatic division champion goes into number 30. Next move exhibited by Paris Cattle Farms of Canton, North Carolina. Congratulations. And now in the ring is class 16. And placings over in class 9 in your Limousin show are as followed. First place goes into number 52, TASF Keep It Classy 68-1K, exhibited by Ben Spencer of Gibbon, Nebraska.
Back over in our balancer bull show, another single entry out here, and here's one that'll make you sit up and pay attention a little bit. One of the more useful bulls we've had in the show, I think, so far out here. Bull you've got to admire for his feet and legs and his overall structure as you watch him get out and go around the ring. He's one that's very clean sheet. It's hard to get one this clean sheet that has this much power. Bull, as you watch him turn around here and get around behind him, got to love the base width and the power you see in him from behind, the width, the top, ties that all in, blends it into just such a nice eye-appealing package. Love the length of side you see in this guy, the length and extension up through that front 1/3 as well. Extremely high quality out here in our Balancer Bull Show. Congratulations to this exhibitor.
And first place in Class 16 goes entry number 31, Pit Boss 205K, exhibited by T-Bar S Cattle Company of Billings, Missouri. That would also be your Division 7 champion. Congratulations. Now in the ring is Class 18. And your Division 3 of your limousine show goes to entry number 42, ELCX Kesha 192K, exhibited by Delilah Labor of Hillsboro, Ohio. And your Reserve Division 3 champion goes to entry number 52, a TAS Keep It Classy 681K, exhibited by Ben Spencer of Gibbon, Nebraska. And please note that entry number 58 in Class 10 was a scratch, so now in the ring is Class 11 limousine females.
Again, in our Balancer Bull Show, another very nice single entry automatic division winner, senior yearling bull. Got to commend these exhibitors that feed these bulls this long and bring them to town. Really nice to see a bull that with some age on them that has this amount of quality out here. Bull that is relatively sound structured when you ask him to get out and go. Like his hind legs set, like the muscularity we see in him as well. Bull that just does a lot of things right out here. One we'll look forward to having back in just a few moments. Congratulations.
And first place in Class 18, an automatic Division 8 champion in your Balancer show goes entry number 32. Fiesta's Lucky One, exhibited by TB Cattle Company of Shelbyville, Kentucky. Congratulations. We're now ready for the selection of your grand champion Balancer Bull here at the 50th anniversary of the North American. Again, we are ready for the selection of your grand champion Balancer Bull. Folks around ringside, if you could join me in giving one more round of applause for your judge, Travis Piedmont from Oklahoma.
As we get back out here in our Balancer Champion Bull Drive, again, just want to congratulate these exhibitors for bringing us such a powerful set of Balancer bulls out here this evening. The bull that wins the first division, the March Calf, I believe, is one we talked about. Just a lot to offer here. This will be one that'll be fun to see a year from now if he shows back up here. Bull that has an excellent set of feet and legs and running gear underneath him. One of the longer-sided bulls out here within this lineup. I appreciate that about him. One that for this stage of the game, you got to like the early performance curve that you see in him as well. Really muscular in his overall appearance. That being said, you know, I mentioned a little bit, maybe like to level him out from hooks to pins just a notch, but that's an awfully nice calf with a world of future ahead of him. The bull that comes out of the second division, one that sure possesses some power traits out here, one that's very rugged in his overall kind, very useful in his kind, like the depth of rib that we see in him. As I mentioned earlier, maybe like to clean him up through that sheath just a notch, maybe pull him out right up through that front 1/3 a little bit in that neck area. But as I said, very useful in his kind. Then we get to the bull out of the third division, one that you just sort of want to gravitate towards when he comes in the ring. Bull that checks all the boxes for me out here. good in terms of feet, good in terms of legs and overall structure. Love the muscularity, the muscle expression that we see in this guy and the way he blends that in so smooth. Really long-sided, a bull that, as I said in class as well, long and extended up through that front end. Just super high quality, no matter what breed you put him into. And we get back to the Red Bull I just talked about. Very useful in his kind. Another one that is extremely muscular out here, like what he possesses in terms of his ability to bring pounds to the table and his offspring as the years go by. Bull that's sound structured. Another one that runs a really hard race out here within this lineup as well. That being said, I got a couple in mind that really suit me here tonight. I'll go show you which two those are. Congratulations again to all of our Gelbvieh exhibitors and balancer exhibitors. It's been great to be out here and evaluate your cattle this evening. Thank you.
And your grand champion balancer bull here at the 50th anniversary of the North American goes into number 31, Pit Boss 205K, exhibited by T-Bar S Cattle Company of Billings, Missouri. Congratulations. And your reserve grand champion balancer bull goes to entry number 32, Fiesta's Lucky One, exhibited by TB Cattle Company of Shelbyville, Kentucky. Again, congratulations to all Gelbvieh and Balancers exhibitors for a successful show here at the 50th anniversary of the North American. God bless, and we hope to see you next year.
Over here on the Limousin side, I think an initial trio of cattle that are really tough to sort through because each one of them certainly has a class advantage in one trait. In my opinion, this female that's going to win does so in terms of freshness and structure. I think that's the freshest, sharpest featured female when you study her in terms of her skull. When you study her there in the top side of her neck, she is the most relaxed in terms of her shoulder blade and the most set back in her knee. From there back, that one's just ultra soft in terms of her center body shape, really relaxed in terms of the angle to her hock joint, just gets out and goes with the most comfort and the most athleticism out here. I love that one's moderation. I love her body shape. If it's all about just mass and feature, I think this one in second brings a lot of really good things to the table. That one's just ultra bold in terms of her body shape, extra soft, very, very stout when you study her in terms of her foundation. That's a big hipped one that still comes together with a nice look. For me today, I'd like to just freshen that one up in terms of her condition, see her come just a shot more athletic in terms of her front end mobility, and lift her up in terms of her chest floor in relation to her underlying proportionality. The one coming out in third on the standstill certainly makes a case to win. That one's great in terms of her outline, so soft-bodied. She's better chested than the one just ahead of her, and extremely stout when you study her in terms of her foundation. I'd just like to see this one get out and go with a shot more looseness and athleticism out of her hock joint. She just gets a shot stiffer there from behind, but man, that one sure does paint a good picture from the silhouette. Next one coming out, I think a tough decision here between the next two cattle, and structure and genuine shape bring the young ladies to the forefront. She's more opened up in terms of her body shape. She's stouter out through her hip and quite a bit more relaxed in the slope and angle to her shoulder blade. Young man's heifer that's going to round out the class, big outline, soft-bodied one that's good hip and hind-legged. I'd like to relax her in terms of her shoulder and knee in relation to her added altitude. We just need to pull that one apart and see her come a shot bolder in terms of her upper rib shape.
And placings in class number 11 in your Limousin female show. First place goes to entry number 60, ELCX Kate 332K, exhibited by Carter Corgay of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And second place goes into number 61, TUBB MKNA Kamikaze 230, exhibited by McKenna Richardson of Eureka, Kansas. And third place goes into number 59, TASF CLAC Peyton 663K, exhibited by Aubrey Shank of Boonesboro, Maryland. And fourth place goes entry number 63, ELCX Kissimmee 219K, exhibited by Amanda Purvis of Versailles, Kentucky. And fifth place goes to entry number 62, FWLY LHC Royal Rita 2887, exhibited by Patton Labor of Hillsboro, Ohio. Congratulations. Now in the ring is Class 12 Limousine females. These females, date of birth range from May 11th through May 3rd, 2023. And over in your Gelby Balancer Show, your Herdsman Award, Premier Exhibitor, and Premier Breeder all go to Butler Creek Farm, Milton, Tennessee. Congratulations.
Nice pair of cattle to surface over here on the Limousin side, and I think two cattle that display balance and quality in terms of their lines, in terms of their symmetry. In my opinion, the young man's that's going to win the class is just a shot more opened up. When you study her out of the backside of her forerib, back there through her flank, I think she's bolder and more opened up high. She's a stouter hipped female that just looks a shot further along in terms of her gestation, in my opinion. The one coming out next does hit her step just a shot square from behind, and that one certainly paints a picture of quality from the side. She's great in terms of her spine, in terms of her neck carriage, basic build and structure. At this stage in her maturity, I would like to see her just come a shot softer there through the midsection of her body. I'd like to soften her up coming out of the backside of her forerib, back through her flank. Young man's coming out next. Of the remaining two is just the better structured one. She's longer and leveler out through her hip and hits her step with quite a bit more comfort and authority. Like I said in that last one, like to soften that one up in terms of her body shape in relation to her contemporaries. Here's a moderate big-bodied one to finalize the class, and I like those things about her. We just need to fix her in terms of her build and structure in order for her to just hold a shot more symmetry in her spine when she gets out on the go.
And first place in class number 12 in your Limousine female show goes to entry number 64, TSSL Larsa's Charm ET, exhibited by Grant Ruppel of Decorah, Indiana. And second place in that class goes entry number 69, SHSK Mia Wallace, exhibited by Eli M. Walther of Centerville, Indiana. Third place goes entry number 67, PCC JKSM Fantasy 507K, exhibited by Kurt Williams of Blount'sville, Alabama. Fourth place goes entry number 65, SSUL Hush Puppy 9K, exhibited by Harrison Roberts of Harem, Maine. Please note entry number 66 and 68 were scratches. We'll now be selecting your Division 4 Limousine Female Champion.
Another tremendous division out here in our limousine show, and this one that wins the first class of division, you want to just talk about one that's my speed in terms of moderation, in terms of body shape, freshness, and structure. I think she does a lot of things right. I love how that one's sculpted in her skull shape. She's really clean and tidy there at the top side of her neck, and then transitions back to a huge rib cage. That one's long and level out through her hip. I think she's soft in terms of the set to her hind leg, and just ideal in terms of how she's put together in her front end assembly. Young man's out of the next class. One we talked about in class, just being more opened up through the center portion of her body. She gets out here and she gives you a good look from the side. From a skeletal standpoint, I'd like to see her handle her front end structure with just a shot more coordination, just set her back in terms of her hock joint just ever so slightly. But that's a high quality female that's certainly deserving of recognition out here. With that being said, the young ladies out of the first class will be our division champion. We'll bring that second place around for consideration.
And your Division 4 Limousine Champion goes to entry number 60, ELCX Kate 332K, exhibited by Carter Corgay of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Congratulations.
We bring that second place effort back, and one that we complimented in class just in terms of sheer bulk and mass. That one's huge in terms of her body shape, square in terms of her build, and still puts together a really nice outline out here. We talked in class, in my opinion, I'd like to just freshen her up in terms of her condition, pick her up in terms of her chest floor just ever so slightly, but I still think she's the squarer built cattle that's more genuine in terms of her structure and build out here. She'll be reserved in this division.
And your reserve Division 4 champion goes to entry number 61, TUBB MKNA Kamikaze 230K, exhibited by McKenna Richardson of Eureka, Kansas. Congratulations.
If a guy wanted to put a class of cattle together for a judging contest here earlier in the week, I sure think that these four would fit the bill. The female that wins the class needs to do so in terms of structure, in terms of foot shape. I think she's right. In terms of her body shape, one that reads with some genuine skeletal width when you study her through her sternum there. She's stout and wide there at her pin set, and certainly is proportional when you take it to the ground in terms of being a big-footed, big-featured kind of cattle. She's in a hurry to get out of here tonight, and she reads with just a little bit of deviation right there in the center of her spine, but I think a really high-quality female to come to the top end of this class. Really good, fundamentally correct kind of brood cow prospect for the young lady out here in second. She's a high-performing female that's big-bodied and loose-structured in relation to that one just ahead of her. I'd like to freshen her up in terms of her condition, see her carry her spine with just a shot more presence on the go, see her pick her neck up out of the top side of her shoulder blade, just a shot cleaner. Moderation and structure sort the next two. I think that the female in third is quite a bit more appropriate there in the slope and angle to her shoulder blade. She has more reach and athleticism out of her hock joint. She's a more moderate, denser kind of cattle. The young man brings out a higher performing female out here in fourth. She's longer bodied. I'd just like to soften that one up in terms of her rib shape, see her come quite a bit more flexible and more angular off either end of her framework. Tough pair out here, and I think that the female that's going to win the class just does so because she is more correct in terms of her front end structure. She's more relaxed in terms of her shoulder blade and more set back in her knee. She's a more moderate option in my opinion. That's just a shot more pulled apart there in her forerib. Young ladies that's going to come out next is a really high-performing, big silhouetted kind of cattle that I think is good in terms of her hip and her hind leg. I like the way she sets down in terms of her hock joint. She's big-footed kind of cattle. For me, just in my opinion, that one's getting a shot more aggressive in terms of where she's going to lie in mature height with that added altitude. I'd like to just soften her up in terms of her rib cage, make her a shot more relaxed there in the slope and angle to her shoulder blade.
And placings in class number 13 of your Limousin female show are as followed. First place goes entry number 74, TASF CLAC Karma 639K, exhibited by Ben Spencer of Gibbon, Nebraska. Second place goes entry number 73, Legacies Kinsley, exhibited by Gemma Dorsey of Morrow, Illinois. Third place goes entry number 71, CLAC Kaylin 622K, exhibited by Jacob Snyder of Hastings, Minnesota. Fourth place goes entry number 72, WF Miss Kitty 519, exhibited by Lamb Stewart of Mechanicsburg, Illinois. And placings in class 14, Limousin females. First place goes entry number 79, Legacies Cora ET, exhibited by Jocelyn Ruppert of Witt, Illinois. Second place goes entry number 76, Ratliff Know Your Worth, exhibited by Michaela Jo Massey of London, Kentucky. And please note that entries 78 and 49 are scratches. Now in the ring is class 15 Limousin females. These females' date of birth range from February 27th through February 17th of 2022.
Really nice one to go ahead and win this class. I think just sets the standard out here in terms of structure and build. She is the most athletic in terms of how she utilizes her hock joint, in terms of how she sets down from behind. She's more relaxed in terms of the angle to her shoulder, and as a result, just carries her spine with so much symmetry. I think that one's bold and opened up high, reads with added strength out there through her hip and pin set. In a perfect world, I think we just strengthen her in terms of her top line just ever so slightly, but that's getting pretty picky on a really high-quality animal. Really nice cowy kind of female comes out here in second. She's big-bodied, I think functional in terms of her build. I wouldn't call her ideal. I think one that in relation to all her bulk and mass she reads with through the center portion of her body, we need to stouten her up in terms of her foot shape in order to call her proportional. In a perfect world, I'd like to just set that one back in terms of her knee just ever so slightly. Long-bodied one that's really feminine when you study her in terms of her head shape. But up front, that's a good structured cattle to round out the class. One that with her added frame and altitude, we just like to soften her up in terms of her body shape, see her come with a shot more genuine strength and mass.
And first place in class number 15 of Limousin females goes to entry number 83, ELCX Kissed 206K, exhibited by Shane Kendall of Magnolia, North Carolina. Second place goes entry number 81, Ratliff Knockout 205K, exhibited by Trace M. Falkenstein of Owensgo, Kansas. Third place goes entry number 84, Boss Lake Miss Moreau 270, exhibited by Becky Craig Cattle Company of El Reno, Oklahoma. And 82 was a scratch. Now entering the ring is class 16 Limousin females. These females' date of birth range from January 27th through January 3rd of 2022. And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, we will be having a open Supreme Cattle Drive this Thursday right in Freedom Hall. Again, all Grand Champion breeds are welcome to participate. The show will start 30 minutes after the last show on Thursday. Again, that show will be held in Freedom Hall right here at the 50th anniversary of the North American.
Extremely fresh, extremely highly presented cattle to lead the class off. I think that in relation to her contemporaries out here, this one is the most fluid in terms of her movement, and I think as a result, she just holds her lines together with a shot more symmetry when she gets out on the go. She's so fresh in terms of her condition today, and yet I think that she still reads right in terms of their depth of body and how she transitions from her forerib back. In an ideal world, I would like to power that one up in terms of her forerib just a shot. Give her just a shot more depth of heel when you study her go from behind, but I still think she's plenty functional in terms of her structure. Really like the freshness in which she's presented out here today. Young man's coming out next. Big, stout, and burly cattle that's huge in terms of her body shape. I like that one's teat size and spacing in relation to all the added mass she has in the middle. We need to stouten her up in terms of her foundation to call her proportional. In an ideal world, that one carries her pin set with just a shot more consistency when she gets out on the go. Here's a nice, moderate, big middled kind of cattle coming out in third, and this one from her shoulder back is really nice. She's soft, she's long and level out through her hip, and I like that one's hind leg and in terms of how she plants down from behind. I'd like to freshen her up in terms of her chest floor, just relax her and make her a shot more ladylike in terms of how she's put together up front. Nice, moderate, big-bodied kind of cattle to round out the class. One that when she gets out here on the standstill can give you a nice look in terms of how her line's set into her. I'd like to refine her in terms of her teat size and shape today. One that I'd like to see her just pull herself together a shot more smoother when you study her out in terms of how she transitions right there out of the backside of her shoulder blade.
And placings in Class 16 of your Limousin female show. First place goes to 91, CLAC Kaylee 112K, exhibited by Riley Stockdale of Dayton, Pennsylvania. Second place goes to entry number 89, TLFC Electric Dancer, exhibited by Brody Barnard of Windsor, Illinois. Third place goes to entry number 90, Ratliff Keep Up the Charm, exhibited by Trace M. Falkenstein of Otsego, Kansas. Fourth place goes to entry number 92, ELCX Katrina 184K, exhibited by Taylor Holloway of Fort White, Florida. And entry number 94 was a scratch. Now entering the ring will be the selection of your Division 5 Limousin champion.
Another phenomenal division out here in our Limousin show, and we'll just start by breaking them down with this one that wins the first class. I think one we talked about in class just being so good in terms of her structure and mobility. That one's the best out here when you study her in terms of the shape to her rear foot. I think she's tremendous in terms of her body shape, in terms of how she just comes together, so seamless in terms of her outline. I think a really solid, good kind of place to start off in this division. The one out of the second class won that class because she was the more moderate option that was more relaxed in terms of her shoulder blade. And I really like that one in terms of her outline out here. I think she's really good in terms of her build and structure. She doesn't come with quite as aggressive horsepower as the cattle on either end of her, but I certainly think that she needs to be noted out here within her contemporaries. The young man's out of the next class wins that class because she was the more fault-free option. She's moderate, big-bodied. I really like how sound that one is out of her hip and hind leg. In an ideal world, we just push her shoulder blade back on her skeleton just a little bit. I'd like to see her hold a shot more strength in terms of her loin. But, man, you get that one out here. She's great in terms of her outline, great in terms of her mobility. I think one that's a little bit different in terms of her type and kind in relation to her contemporaries comes out of this final class, and she's a bigger outlined cattle that's really fresh in terms of her presentation. I like that one in terms of her softness of body. I think she's good in terms of her mobility, in terms of her flexibility and comfort level out here. I said in class, in an ideal world, I'd like to just strengthen her in terms of her depth of heel. Give her just a shot more horsepower in terms of how she transitions out of the backside of her shoulder blade, but really high quality cattle. When you get out here and really get to weigh in the options in terms of cattle that come with enough power and mass that are still extremely good in terms of their structure and build, there's one that's the fault-free option for me out here today. It'll be the one out of the first class. She'll win the division. We'll bring that second place in for consideration.
And your Division 5 Limousin champion goes to entry number 74, TASF CLAC Karma 639K, exhibited by Ben Spencer of Gibbon, Nebraska.
The one that was second in class to that female that wins the division is extremely good in terms of the center portion of her body, in terms of one that looks like she's going to go on and make a tremendous brood cow for the young lady. She doesn't quite come with some of the added intangibles of the cattle behind her. I think when we start talking about type and kind of cattle that fit the mold of that animal that wins this division, I think that the young man's out of the third class is just a shot more better in terms of just density, in terms of skeletal width, and just being more pulled apart down the top side of her framework. She'll go ahead and be reserve in this division.
And your Division 5 reserve champion goes to entry number 83, ELCX Kist 206K, exhibited by Shane Kendall of Magnolia, North Carolina. Congratulations. Now entering the ring is Class 17 Limousin females.
Just a single entry, but one that certainly needs to go out and win a class out here on the green chips. Long-bodied, big-footed, really long, level-hipped kind of cattle that gets out and motors with some genuine fundamentals in terms of her build and structure. I think that one's lines just pull together so seamlessly out here. Really high-quality animal. I look forward to reevaluating her when we get her back out here with some contemporaries.
And first place in Class 17 goes entry number 96, MKLN 1105J, exhibited by Sarah Sullivan of Dunlap, Iowa. Congratulations. We're now ready for Class 18 Limousin females.
A single entry senior yearling pair out here, and I think it takes a lot of work, and the young lady certainly needs to be commended on bringing a pair out here. It's something that's hard to do. I think a cow that's really nice in terms of her udder suspension. I'd like to refine her in terms of the size to her teat just ever so slightly, but one that's presented in her working clothes, and she's good in terms of her structure and build. She's a long-bodied cow raising a nice calf alongside of her. I'd certainly commend the young lady to bringing a nice senior yearling pair to town.
And first place in Class 18 goes to entry at number 98, ELCX Jam Session 362, exhibited by Amanda Purvis of For Sales, Kentucky. Congratulations. Now entering the ring is Class 19 Limousin females.
In a perfect world, I'd like to have seen this one calve at 24 months, but she's certainly getting close here late in November. That's a big-bodied, soft hind-legged one that's put together really good up front when you study her in terms of the angulation to her shoulder blade. She's set back in terms of her knee. I think it's really hard to keep one this fresh, this long in the game, and a young lady certainly needs commended on it. Really nice single-entry senior yearling female out here.
And first place in Class 19 goes entry number 99, HBWR Whiskey 195J, exhibited by Samantha Pico of Ewing, Kentucky. Congratulations. We're now ready to select your Division 6 Limousin female.
Final division of the day out here, and three really nice cattle to come out and represent their classes. The one out of the first class in the division, she sets the standard in terms of outline, in terms of balance and symmetry within her contemporaries out here. That's a really long-bodied one that's soft in terms of how she plants down from behind. I like the shape to her rear foot. I think extremely fresh in terms of her condition at this stage in her maturity. I think if we rocked that one back and just relaxed her in the slope and angle to her shoulder blade, it would allow her to carry her head with just a shot more presence on the go. But I think a really high quality female to win the first class. We've got a senior yearling pair out of the second class, and as we said, really commend the young lady for bringing a senior yearling pair out here. It's a lot of work. The cow's got a nice udder suspension. She's athletic, she's long-bodied, and she's certainly doing a nice job with a nice heifer calf. One out of the final class, like I said, I wish this one would have calved a little bit closer to her second birthday, but you can tell she's getting close. Big-bodied, really good in terms of her build and structure. In an ideal world, I'd like to just set her in a shot smoother in terms of how her tail head comes out. I'd like to refine her in terms of her teat structure just ever so slightly. I think when we get out here and really get to weighing out the balance, the female out of the first class needs to win the division. Young lady out of the third will be reserve.
And your Division 6 Limousin female champion goes to entry number 96, MKLN 1105J, exhibited by Sarah Sullivan of Dunlap, Iowa. Congratulations. And your reserve division champion will go to entry number 99, HBWR Whiskey 195J, exhibited by Samantha Pico of Ewing, Kentucky. Again, congratulations to those exhibitors. And we are now ready to select your grand champion Limousin female here at the 50th anniversary of the North American International Livestock Exposition. And don't forget this year, we are having a Open Supreme Drive on Thursday, November 16th in Freedom Hall, 30 minutes after the last show has concluded. I would like to take this time to reintroduce your judge for today, Mr. Breck Durham of Pennsylvania. Breck attended college at Blackhawk East and Western Illinois University, where he was a judging team member at both institutions. In the spring of 2018, Breck made the move to South Georgia to manage Insfall Farm, a 200-cow Hereford ranch that heavily emphasizes functionality and eye appeal while simultaneously working to capture carcass premiums. If you could join me in giving Mr. Breck Durham a round of applause for being out here and evaluating your Limousin show.
I'll try and keep this short and sweet as it is drawing further along into the evening here, and these cattle are ready to get on out of here. But I think a tremendous set of cattle out here, and I'd just like to say that it's certainly been an honor to be out here, and we'll get to that later on with the bull show. But I think that what's truly good about a beef animal in my world, working with our grasses, is that you don't know how great she is until she's 7 years old. And she's brought in her fifth calf that was born in the first 10 days of the calving season. You never have to worry about her. You hardly notice her. And she's got a 102 nursing ratio and just absolutely gets it done. And the thing about showing these things in this environment is we don't know that about them. And we can only do our best to go out here and search for phenotypic indicators that they can do that. And I think that when you go out here and look at this lineup put together out here, I hope you can see the type and kind of cattle that I really feel thrive in my geographic region and the cattle that work for me at home. And we'll just start with that first division heifer calf, one that was certainly an outlier within her division just in terms of look, in terms of structure and body shape, a really high quality heifer calf that has a tremendous future. We get into the second division, and man, that one's just overwhelming in terms of her body shape, in terms of her mass and feature when you study her at her foundation, and she's still able to pull it together and give you an elite look of in terms of her balance, in terms of her symmetry out here. I think that one's great in terms of her running gear, a really, really high quality female that certainly needs to be noted within this lineup. We get back here to our falls, and I think there were some different types and kinds of cattle within that division, and I'm really happy with how this one comes back out here. When you look at the grand spectrum of everything, I think one that really embodies what I've been looking for all day in terms of moderation, in terms of body shape and structure. She's just so square and genuine in terms of her build. I really like how feminine she is and how she ties out of the top side of her shoulder blade there. That one's really athletic when she gets out on the go. Really, really high quality kind of female to come out of that fall division. We get into these bigger cattle and more mature cattle, and this female came out of a really tough division and beat a lot of good ones to do it. And I just fell in love with her freshness, with her structure. I think she's so relaxed in terms of her angles. She's so fresh. When you study her down the top side of her neck, I love the shape to that one's skull, and she's just right for me in terms of her body shape. She's got some genuine strength when you study her through her sternum, out through her hip and pin set, and just so impressive in terms of how fresh she is at this stage of the game. The one out of the next division, really bold, stout, and burly. Stout featured cattle that's really bold and opened up there through the center portion of her body. She's long and level out through her hip. We talked about her in relation to her contemporaries just being big and soft-footed. In relation to cattle on either end of her, she is just a shot coarser there in terms of her shoulder blade, and I would like to just freshen her up there at the top side of her neck just ever so slightly. But I really like that one in terms of genuine feature, genuine mass. The senior yearling female is certainly one that we need to note out here just in terms of length of body, in terms of her athleticism off her hind leg. I really like that one's rear foot shape. I think she's presented extremely fresh and genuine in terms of her condition. We talked about that one in division. Just ideally, I'd like to rock her back there in terms of her shoulder blade. I think that would allow her to carry her neck with just a shot more presence when she gets out on the go. So let's go ahead and put our hands together and congratulate these exhibitors. We'll go out and find you a champion in reserve female.
And your grand champion Limousin female here at the 50th Annual North American is entry number 60, ELCX Kate 332K, exhibited by Carter Corgay of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Congratulations. And your reserve grand champion Limousin female goes to entry number 33, MKLS SC Kitty 366L, exhibited by Riley Green of Mayville, Michigan. Again, congratulations. Before we take pictures of the Grand and Reserve Champion, we will be showing your cow-calf division. We do need Class 20 Limousin cow-calf pairs to be making their way into the ring. Again, now entering the ring is Class 20 of your Limousin cow-calf pair show.
If there's anything I've learned throughout the years of coming here and being able to show on the green chips, it's expect the unexpected. And this pair that's going to win this out here, man, I think this is incredible. And I got out here and I talked about just a minute ago about phenotypic indicators of one being able to generate and produce, and this cow's certainly proven she can do that with a big, stout, burly herd bull prospect on her side. This cow's awesome in terms of her moderation, in terms of her body shape. She's so athletic in terms of how she utilizes her hock joint and sets down from behind. I think she's in incredible condition when you take into consideration the percentage of her mature weight that she's about to wean. You know, in a perfect world, I'd like to just fill her up in terms of her forerunner just a little bit. That's getting really nitpicky on a cow that's been absolutely working her tail off to raise a big, stout, burly bull calf. Next pair coming out in second, just think about a cow that's really worked really hard, because this is a great heifer calf on her side, and she might be in a little bit more working condition out here today, but that one's level in terms of her udder suspension. She's a big-bodied, moderate kind of female that's stout-hipped. In an ideal world, I'd like to just strengthen her in terms of the set to her rear foot there, just give her a shot more heel. But certainly doing a phenomenal job raising a really good big stout heifer calf. Pair coming out in third, it's a little tough because she's just got a fall calf on her, but I like the freshness of that one's udder. One that's got some genuine body shape and is better in terms of the shape to her rear foot than that one just ahead of her. Certainly doing a great job raising a nice little fall heifer calf.
And first place in Class 20 and Automatic Division and Grand Champion Limousin Cow-Calf pair goes to entry number 121, DL Hush Money 0502H, exhibited by Sarah Sullivan of Dunlap, Iowa. And second place in Class 20 and Automatic Reserve Division and Reserve Grand Champion Limousin Cow-Calf pair goes to entry number 120, Otto Hayes ET, exhibited by Jackson Kidd of Sandy Hook, Kentucky. And third place in Class 20 goes entry number 121, FRBR Els Merida 756, exhibited by Lane, a friend of Duck, West Virginia. Congratulations to those exhibitors. We're now ready to select your Supreme Champion Limousin Female. Again, we're ready to select your Supreme Champion Limousin Female here at the North American.
We get out here for our Supreme selection, and man, what an awesome group of cattle. We've talked about them extensively a few different times, and I think it's just impressive and a true testament to the breed. I've had the pleasure of watching these cattle get better and better over the past decade, and I think it's on full display out here this evening on the green chips here in Louisville. Just cattle that are so good in terms of their kind, hard to make, but really fundamentally correct. And there's one out here that, man, I just think it's impressive to bring one to town that's quite like that, just doing a phenomenal job. And it's no discount to the rest of the cattle. I just think that she does something that's extremely difficult to accomplish.
And your Supreme Champion Limousin Female goes to entry number 121, DL Hush Money 502H, exhibited by Sarah Sullivan of Dunlap, Iowa. Congratulations. We will take a few pictures, and then we'll be ready for Class 21 Limousin Bulls. Again, we'll get a few pictures, and then we'll be ready for Class 21 Limousin Bulls.
The first North American Livestock Exposition was held in November 1974 in Louisville at the Kentucky Exposition Center. It began as a beef show for 5 breeds with Harold Workman as general manager, a post he would hold for nearly 4 decades. The National 4-H Livestock Judging Contest, held at the legendary International Livestock Exposition in Chicago since the early 1900s, found a new home at the NAILE. From the start, the North American was steeped in tradition, from the now ubiquitous green shavings to a logo that communicated confidence that what began as a beef show continued to grow and expand to a global reach. The North American seemed to inherit the legacies of Chicago, and before long was renamed the North American International Livestock Exposition. And the show did grow, with the sheep division coming along in 1975, and dairy, swine, and quarter horse shows following soon after. The National Collegiate Livestock Judging Contest moved to Louisville in 1976, and the North American's early success with all these events right out of the gate led to the honor of being chosen as the new home of the prestigious Saddle and Sirloin Club Portrait Gallery. More than 300 painted portraits of the livestock industry's most revered leaders moved from Chicago to the Kentucky Expo Center in '77. Each year since, during the North American, another honoree is added to this Hall of Fame. The North American Championship Rodeo was launched in 1979 as the finals for the Great Lakes Circuit. Today, the Expo is the longest-serving host venue for the Pro Rodeo Cowboys Association. In the 1980s, draft horse and dairy goat shows were added, and in the 90s, llamas and alpacas found their place in the spotlight. Boar goats and mules and donkeys joined in the fun in the 2000s, bringing the North American to a total of 10 divisions. The continued growth has been possible because the Kentucky Exposition Center has expanded a world-class facility. The North American's education reach has extended beyond youth livestock showing and judging contests to coveted internships, school tours, and a children's barnyard. And the commercial exhibits have grown into the ever-popular country store. As we celebrate the 50th anniversary of the North American International Livestock Exposition, we honor the visionary leaders, dedicated staff and volunteers, and exhibitors who raised the best of the best to bring them to the world's largest all-breed, purebred livestock show. Hold on to your hats. The best is yet to come.
Number one is the facilities. There are no other facilities around anywhere close to these. Number one is the facilities. There are no other facilities around anywhere close to these. And the people, we have great people who work the show, friendly, eager to help people out and to direct them to the right places, help them get their animals entered properly and in the right place. And once those things are done, then we put the show on, and everybody takes a big interest in it and wants to make it the best show that it could possibly be. And they will go out of their way, work long hours, way up in the night sometimes, to prepare the show, to get the show ready for the next day, and then work long hours in putting the show on. So it's a labor of love. You wouldn't do it for the money, for sure. And we have a lot of outstanding volunteers.
A few years ago, I was driving around and checking all the barns and everything, and I seen this family back up, and they were from Texas, and they had little Dorper sheep on there, and that just basically we just started having Dorper sheep deal, but they came all the way from Texas to show, and somehow we were a little bit short of pens that year or something. We had cattle panels set up for those guys, and those Dorpers would have went just right under the panel. And so I took them and I went in and got gates and fixed their their pens so they'd hold the Dorpers. I looked in the truck and there was 3 little girls that were just absolutely wore completely out, that could not quit grinning because they'd come to the North American. I think that's a really good example of the kind of families that we have. They didn't come here necessarily to win it all. They came here to make good kids. And that's what we're doing with these junior shows in all the barns, is that we're trying to make good kids by using livestock to do that. That family came back and hugged me and thanked me later because, you know, you pull into this place, it's huge. They're scared. And by taking them by the hand and helping them get to their pens and get everything set, made friends forever. I've seen them since then too, so they come back. They come back.
We're now done with pictures. We are ready to start your limousine bull show here at the North American. Again, we do need that first class of bulls, class 101. The first three classes of your Limousine Bull Show are single entries, so we are just bringing them in for your Division I Limousine Bull Division I champion.
We bring these single entry bulls out here for our division, and we start the first class off with a bull that's square hipped. He's long bodied. He's got some real shape and muscle. Young lady doing a great job getting him presented out here today. In a perfect world, we just soften him up, make him a shot more relaxed in terms of his angles, see him come with just a shot more feature when we study him at the ground. Really heavy muscled, stout featured bull out of the second class here. One that's wide backed and big ended. We'd like to just square him up in terms of his hip, soften him up in terms of his body shape. And then the bull out of the third class, really high quality animal. He's functional in terms of his build. He's big bodied, a bull that gives you a really nice look in terms of how he's put together up front. He's a large testicled bull. In a perfect world, I'd like to clean his sheath up just a little bit, but I think a really high quality animal that's a clear-cut division winner. I think it gets a little bit more challenging as you look at these other two cattle, but I think there's one with a shot more performance, a shot more real red meat and muscle. It'll be the young man's out of the second class. He'll be reserve in this division.
And your Division I Limousine Bull champion goes to entry number 104, FHSU Landsider 006L, exhibited by Fort Hays State University, Hays, Kansas. And your reserve champion goes to entry number 102, Red Velvet ET, exhibited by Layden Limousine, Janesville, Wisconsin. Congratulations.
Single entry February bull calf out here, and man, one that reads with just a ton of quality. Super athletic in terms of his structure and build. He's big bodied. He pulls himself together with a nice look. I think a bull that reads with some genuine strength when you study him through his sternum and how he transitions there out of the backside of his shoulder blade. Really high quality animal. Looking forward to how he stacks up with his contemporaries when we get him back out here. High quality, clear cut class winner out here in this class of Limousin bulls. He's a long bodied, athletic bull that sets down with a tremendous amount of comfort and athleticism from behind. I think a bull that offers some genuine shape when you study him in terms of how he transitions out of the backside of his shoulder blade. A high quality animal to come out and win this class. The bull in second, really raw and lean in terms of his shape when you study him down the top side of his skeleton. He's a big-ended bull. I just like to relax him in terms of his angles, see him hit his step with just a shot more comfort, a shot more flexibility off either end of his skeleton.
And first place in Class 105 Limousin Bulls goes to entry number 105, Curtin's Game Changer 17L, exhibited by Tanner Curtin of Oxford, Iowa. Congratulations. And placings for Class 25. First place goes to entry number 100, FWLY LHC, Prime Candidate, exhibited by Fonnelly Farms of Lynchburg, Ohio. And second place goes to entry number 106, SNYC Maverick 302L, exhibited by Snyder Cattle Company, Hastings, Minnesota.
We bring these two class winners out here for our division, and I think two bulls that present quite a bit of usefulness to the industry, regardless of what direction you want to head. A bull that wins the first class, man, I love this one's moderation and density, one that studies with some genuine skeletal width. He's extremely athletic, a good-footed bull with some real meat and muscle. The bull out of the second class, added length of body, and I really like his athleticism out of his hock joint and how he sets down from behind. He's a big square-footed, large testicled bull with some added length and performance. I think we really get down to it, and just in terms of body, in terms of having a more elite look, the bull out of the first class is a clear-cut division winner. The bull out of the second class will be reserved.
And your division champion goes into number 105, Curtin's Game Changer 17L, exhibited by Tanner Curtin of Oxford, Iowa. And your reserve division goes to entry number 100, FWLY LHC, a Prime Candidate, exhibited by Fonnelly Farms of Lynchburg, Ohio. Congratulations to those exhibitors. And again, Class 26 and 27 are both single entries. So we will be showing for your Division III Limousin Champion Bull.
A bull to win the class that's a shot stronger on paper, and you certainly see it when you study him in terms of his phenotype. He's a heavier muscled bull that's quite a bit more opened up in terms of his upper skeleton. He's big-ended and athletic in terms of how he sets down from behind. He gets out here and stops. He's a long-bodied bull that certainly has the ability to collect himself with some look and presence. Bull out of the second class, or the bull that's going to be second here, shot trimmer in terms of his condition today, and he's a deep-sided bull that can give you a nice look from the side. I like him in terms of his structure in relation to an impressive class winner. I'd like to bulk him up when you study him up high, give him a shot more genuine muscle and shape. I'd also like to just give him a shot more genuine foundation when you study him down low and make him a shot bigger footed.
And your Division III champion goes into number 110, FRBR Carl 257K, exhibited by friend Brother Limousin of Duck, West Virginia. And your reserve division champion goes into number 109, SJMR Captain 252K, exhibited by Samantha Joe Moore of Stanton, Virginia. Congratulations. And entering the ring now is Class 28 Limousin Bulls.
Really good bull to win the class. That's extra heavy muscled, good looking when you study him in terms of how he's put together up front. He's relaxed in terms of his shoulder blade. He sets down with some real comfort and ease. He's a clean sheathed, large testicled bull that certainly brings some good. I'd like to make him just a shot more progressive when we study his figures on paper, but I think a really good, useful kind of bull to come out and represent this division.
And first place in Class 28 in automatic Division 4 champion goes into number 111, LRCC Hidden Treasure 117K, exhibited by Trace M. Falkenstein of Owensgo, Kansas. Congratulations.
Really high quality bull to come out and win this class. He's a bull with some genuine width and dimension. He's big bodied, big hipped, and stout. When you study him in terms of his foundation, he's a clean sheathed bull that brings himself together with a real nice look and presence from the profile. In a perfect world, I'd like to make him just a shot smoother in terms of his hock joint, but I think he gets out and goes with some athleticism and some comfort, a really high-quality animal to come out of this class. Young man's bull that's going to be second, bull that's in his working clothes out here today, and I appreciate that. He's long-bodied, he's lean and descript in terms of his shape. He's a bull that's got some mobility and comfort when you study him out of his hind leg. In a perfect world, I'd like to relax him in terms of his shoulder blade, set him back in his knee, and just soften him up in terms of his body shape in relation to an impressive class winner.
And first place in Class 29 Limousine Bulls goes to entry number 113, MINO King Julian 011K, exhibited by Minor Limousine of Stratford, Missouri. And second place in that class goes to entry number 112. LS Kingston 410K, exhibited by Lamb Stored of Mechanicsburg, Illinois. Congratulations. Now entering the ring will be the Division 5 Limousine Champion. Again, entering the ring now will be selecting your Division 5 Limousine Champion.
What a tremendous division of big bulls out here, and we talked about this one out of the first class. Just within his contemporaries, just a big-bodied, rugged, structured bull with some look. He's really good in terms of the basic fundamentals of just getting around. He's big-bodied. We think a really nice kind of bull to come out and represent that class. Really neat animal here out of the second class. One that's great in terms of his look, in terms of his balance. He's big-bodied, really good in terms of his foot shape and structure. He's stout-featured and charts with some really good, genuine calving ease data on paper. He's a low birth weight, high calving ease kind of bull, and he's really angular there when you study him in terms of his shoulder and his knee. I think a really good kind of animal to come out and represent that class. Bull out of the third class, just overwhelming in terms of performance. I think a big-bodied bull that's soft in terms of the set to his hind leg. He's a large testicled bull that I think certainly brings a tremendous amount of good things to the table when you talk about kicking him out on a set of cows. Really nice, high-quality bull to come out of that third class. This bull out of the fourth class is really interesting to me. You want to talk about one that's, I love how lean he's presented in terms of his condition today. He's a bull that's probably seen some cows. He's rugged in terms of his structure, has a really unique look when you study him in terms of how he's put together up front, in terms of how his necktie is out of the top side of his shoulder blade when we relate that and transition him into generating show cattle. He is the heaviest muscled bull out here when we study him in terms of how he transitions out of the backside of his shoulder blade. He's got some genuine flair there to his hip and stifle. Another one that's just extra athletic. I love the shape to his rear foot. I love the agility he has to his hock joint. I think there's two cattle out here that are true standouts when we talk about them just being extra good in terms of their kind. One's a shot softer in terms of his body shape. The other one's a shot more aggressive in terms of his meat and muscle. I think two extremely good bulls to come out here and represent this division. I think when it comes down to it, though, there's one that's just got such a neat look out here. He's huge-bodied, and he certainly comes with some really ideal data when you look at how he charts in terms of calving ease and birth weight. It'll be the bull out of the second class. Bull out of the fourth class will be reserve in this division.
And your Division 5 Limousin Champion Bull goes entry number 115, WWST, the Comeback Kid, exhibited by Stennett Cattle Company of Waynetown, Indiana. And your reserve division goes entry number 118, Ratliff Killing Time, ET, exhibited by Thomas and Son Farms of Boonesboro, Maryland. We're now ready to select your grand champion Limousin Bull here at the 50th anniversary of the North American. And don't forget, we are hosting a open Supreme Cattle Drive on Thursday, November 16th, right in Freedom Hall. That show will start 30 minutes after the last show has ended.
I'll make this short and sweet. I know it's getting late in the evening, but I do need to just thank everybody for having me out here today. It's certainly been an honor to get to stand behind a microphone out here in Louisville, Kentucky for the very first time, and certainly lived up to all my expectations with the quality of the cattle, and certainly an absolute blast for me out here today. And I think that these bulls are tremendous, and they do what we need to ask beef bulls to do. They're good structured cattle with some body and doability. They're athletic, clean-sheathed, large testicled bulls that I think certainly bring a large amount of good to the beef cattle industry, and certainly solidify your all as Limousin breeders, the breed's place in the commercial cattle industry if this is what's going out behind a good group of cows. So my hat's off to you on bringing an absolutely tremendous group of cattle to town today. And we'll just go through and hit our division winners. The bull that wins the first division does so rather handily, and that's because he was the soft-bodied, athletic bull. And I think he's high quality. I think he's good in terms of his foot shape. He's got some rib and body, some look and presence. He's not quite as mature and burly as some cattle behind him, but he doesn't need to be. And the young lady certainly needs to be commended on bringing out a really high-quality bull to town. The bull out of the second division, man, this is a really interesting beast to me. So he studies with so much strength out there through his chest floor. He's bold and opened up there in his body shape, genuine meat and muscle to that bull, and doesn't sacrifice a unique look and presence. He's so soft in terms of his middle. When you study him coming out of the backside of his sternum, down there through his midrib and flank, he's a good structured bull that gets out and goes with a high amount of coordination and athleticism. You know, he doesn't have quite as much predictability as we see with some of these bulls out here, but he needs to be noted, and I certainly think that he needs to be talked extremely highly of. Bull out of the next division wins so because he was the heavy-muscled, more rugged-featured bull. He's big and square in terms of his foot shape. He's a bull with some genuine muscle. When you study him in terms of how he transitions out of the backside of his shoulder blade, he's a big-ended bull. That's certainly, I think, a really good kind of animal to come out and represent that division. Just a single entry out here in the next division, and certainly one we need to talk about out here on the stand. He's got a really cool look. He's got some muscle and shape. Bull that we talked about, we'd like to see him just a shot more progressive on paper, and I think that becomes a little bit more important when we get here to talking about bulls. When you talk about a female, it's one individual to breed around. When you talk about these bulls, they're making a larger impact with their service. But a bull that has a really neat look with some genuine muscle, I'd like to stabilize him in his hock, make him a shot square when you see him going from behind. That final division of bulls was a really fun one to evaluate and full of really high-quality cattle, and I'm really excited about the two that come out of it because it's hard to get these big bulls to this stage. I've tried, and I've failed far more times than I've succeeded, and it's a difficult feat, and I think that both of these bulls are really good in terms of their kind. They're really good structured cattle that are athletic. This bull just had a shot more body, and I think charted with just a shot more cavities and birth weight advantages when you studied him in terms of his paperwork. I think he's adequate in terms of his muscle. We talked about in division that bull that was reserved to him, probably a shot heavier in terms of his genuine spread and mass, but I think a bull that's tremendous in terms of his structure and build. I love the shape to his hock and hind leg and how he sets down from behind. I think that really exciting to see two big bulls brought out of this quality. So one time, let's go ahead and put our hands together for a tremendous set of Limousin bulls.
And your grand champion Limousin bull here at the 50th Annual North American International Livestock Exposition goes to entry at number 115, WWST, the Comeback Kid, exhibited by Stennett Cattle Company of Waynetown, Indiana. Congratulations. And your reserve grand champion bull goes to entry number 118, Ratliff Killing Time, exhibited by Thomas & Son Farms of Boonesboro, Maryland. Again, congratulations.